Hi everyone. Today we're going to continue talking about planets, and I want to try to divide the planets into two groups based on some characteristics that they have. So we know that there are 8 planets, and we're starting to get familiar with those names, but let's see if we can group them and maybe that will help us. So the two types of planets that I want you to think about are the planets that are closest to the sun and the planets that are farthest from the sun. So we have 4 planets that we're going to group together that are close to the sun: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. And so now if they're closer to the sun, I think we could automatically say that those are going to be warmer planets. And then if we also look at those outer planets, we can group those together: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Those planets are much further from the sun, and as a result, they are going to be much colder. So our inner planets, we often have a name for them that we call not just inner planets, we use the word terrestrial. A terrestrial means Earth-like. And so our 4 inner planets, we like to say that those are terrestrial planets. Our outer planets, on the other hand, we say that those are mostly like Jupiter, which is the largest of those outer planets. We call those Jovian planets, and Jovian just means Jupiter-like. So we have 2 types of planets. We have our inner planets, which we call terrestrial. Those are our warmer planets. And we have our outer planets, which we call Jovian, which are going to be those planets that are like Jupiter. So we looked at sort of the size comparison between our sun, which is a star, and the planets. And really, when we looked at that size comparison, we realized that the planets are much, much, much smaller than stars. But it really didn't give us any kind of good idea about how the planets actually compared to each other. So here we can see Jupiter, Saturn. Here we have Uranus and Neptune. Those are our 4 Jupiter-like planets. Those are those outer planets. And I want you to notice the size difference between these planets. Down here we have our inner planets, those terrestrial planets. Here's Earth. This is Venus. Down here is Mars, which we can barely see, and this is that closest planet to the sun, Mercury. So you can see that there is a really tremendous size difference between these 4 that are close to the sun, our inner planets, our terrestrial planets, and these outer planets. These outer planets, our Jovian-like planets, are much, much, much bigger than the inner planets. And so that's one of the primary reasons for our grouping. It's not the only reason, but that is one of our primary reasons for grouping them in these 2 groups. So our inner planets are also called rocky planets. These are pretty good images that show you what the surfaces of these planets look like. You can see here that we have Mercury, which has a surface much like the moon. It's heavily cratered. This is Venus. As I think we learned yesterday, it has a really thick atmosphere. It's our hottest planet. Here's our home planet, Earth, of course. Sometimes Earth is called the blue marble. You can see all the water down here, the blue, and here's some clouds, which also are water. So Earth is dominated by water. And over here we have the red planet. This is called Mars. You can see these are all of similar size, but the most important bit about these inner planets is what they're made from. All of these inner planets are made of rock and metal. So these are predominantly rock and metal. Now, it is true that on Earth we have a thin layer of water that covers much of that rock and metal, but these are also called rocky planets. So our terrestrial planets, because they're mostly made of rock and metal, are also called rocky planets. When we look at our outer planets, on the other hand, and we think about what they're made from, we have these are sometimes called the gas planets, but I think I would like for you to know a little bit more than that. So when we look at our outer planets, the first 2 planets, Jupiter and Saturn, these are called gas giants. Okay, so these are called gas giants. When we look at the outer 2, these are called ice giants. Um, unlike our inner planets, those terrestrial rocky planets, these planets have no solid surface. These are not planets that we can land on or that you could stand on. These are quite a bit different. So no solid surface on any of these gas giants or these Jovian planets or these ice giants. So really, these ice giants are dominated because they are so far from the sun. All right, so let's do a quick T-chart where we sort of list some differences between these inner and outer planets. Okay, let's start out over here with our terrestrial planets. I think it would be fair to say, after looking at them, that these terrestrial planets are much smaller. So these are much smaller than the Jovian planets when we compare the two. We discussed the fact that they are made out of rock and metal. So all of these terrestrial or these inner planets are made out of rock or metal. Very clearly, they're much closer to the sun, and so that's going to make these terrestrial planets warmer. One thing that did not yet come up is that these terrestrial planets have very few moons. As a matter of fact, Earth has one moon, and Mars has two moons. So in the inner solar system, between all four of these planets, there are only three moons. Mercury and Venus have no moons. And clearly there is no rings. There's no ring system. And when we were looking at watching the video yesterday, hopefully you picked up on the fact that those outer planets do have rings. That those debris, those ice particles, the dust, the rock that are orbiting around them in sort of a flat plane or a disk. Let's compare that very quickly to our Jovian planets. So our Jovian planets, we can see that our Jovian planets they're going to be much larger, very clearly. So we've said these are not made of rock and metal. These are made of gases and ices. Of course, they're much colder. They're much further from the sun. These Jovian planets have lots of moons, many moons. As a matter of fact, like Jupiter, I think is up to 70 moons, very close to 70 moons. Um, I think Neptune and Uranus, those have anywhere between around 20 moons. I don't know exact numbers, but I think there's nearly 200 moons on these four that are orbiting around these four planets in the outer solar system. Now, Saturn is absolutely known for its beautiful ring system, but the thing that I would want you to keep in mind is all of these outer planets have ring systems of some kind. Even though you can't necessarily see them as easily, and they're not as bright or as thick as Saturn's, all of these Jovian planets, these outer planets, do have ring systems. So that's a pretty good comparison. Some things I would want you to remember are those terms Jovian and terrestrial. I also need you to remember these characteristics that are on screen right now. So we'll take some notes on these in our notebooks very soon, but that's it for today. Bye-bye.